What it do, and welcome back to the Flagrant 3 podcast. Now, as you can tell, this isn't the normal voice that does the introduction, because our man Snazz thought it'd be a good idea, as most British people, thought it'd be a good idea to go out and get smashed up last night.
He wanted a birthday day off, didn't he?
Yeah. It was his birthday last Friday, sorry, not last week. It was my birthday last week. So he's gone and got messed up, and now he can't make it. He can't stay committed. But as always, Mr. Feeling Too Good, Mystic Mike's in the house, ready to drop some lines.
What it do?
Yeah, boy, we good?
We are good, sir. We are good. We've got quite a bit to discuss and a couple of interesting takes today.
Yeah, so we're going to start off from the cover athlete, Jared Jackson Jr., laying smackdown with his Memphis Grizzlies without their all-star, or their to-be all-star, Ja Morant.
To be, yeah.
79 to 152.
It's embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing.
No Shea.
No Josh Giddey.
OKC.
No Shea.
No Giddey, no.
But then, to be fair, Giddey's rookie year, he's not an amazing, he's not a game changer anyway.
No. But, I mean, does this go to show how good Shea is, do you think, for OKC?
I think it just shows how bad OKC are.
Yeah.
That's what it shows.
It's atrocious.
Yeah, Shea's not going to come in and score whatever
73
points. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I think it's a case of really, really poor defense followed by very abysmal offense. Like, absolutely atrocious. So
it was disgusting. I didn't watch much.
To show how little defense there was, 9 Memphis Grizzlies in double-digit scoring.
Yeah,
9 players in double-digit scoring. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Jared Jackson Jr., the game high 27 in 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
27 in 20 minutes. 6 of 7 from 3. I mean, when he come into the league, that was his bread and butter, his offense. He was going to be a big offensive player, and he's not really fulfilled it as such. I mean, he started to come out last year. He was injured. He started to come out a bit this year, but not to the level that people thought.
No,
but
he needs to get more consistency, doesn't he? But
doing this 27 in 20 minutes, then it shows he can. I know it's a shit team in OKC, but it shows he can do it.
Yeah, he didn't go against any Premier bigs, did he?
No, to be fair, no, of course.
But if you look at the stats number on it, Memphis as a whole team shot 52% from free.
Yeah, and 65% overall, I think.
Overall, yeah. That just shows you how little defense was played from OKC in that game. And if you flip it and you want to talk about good defense, OKC only shot 29% from free.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's just one of those games where you're thinking, when do you turn it off? When do you wave the flag and go?
Can you throw in the towel?
Can you throw in the towel on this game and just say, you know?
I mean, these are professional. This is the worst thing for me. I was thinking about it on the way. This is the worst thing. Is these are professional basketball players. They're professional coaches. They're professional staff. All to do with the organisation. In what part of that would have been good? In what part of being a part of that night would have been good for OKC?
What do you say to your dressing room after that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, as a coach, like,
you're playing another game in probably 2 days' time. Like, do you know what I mean? You don't have to take an arse whooping like that and turn around and say, "But guys, we've got an opportunity to make things right in 2 days." I don't think anyone's feeling good in that locker room.
I think they play Utah tonight.
Yeah, and mate, Utah are licking their lips at that one. Honestly,
that's what I'm saying. So, and this isn't even they. I think they've got the record for the worst home loss as well, because this was obviously in Memphis. And they've got the record. The Pacers beat them by 52 on their home floor in May. So in the same calendar year, they've lost by 52
and 73.
And 73. One at home and one on the road. Like, it's at what point do the league step in and go, well, it's pretty obvious you're tanking here.
The thing that makes it quite interesting is that it wasn't like one quarter made a difference. They got a literal arse whooping of nothing more than 30 points every single quarter.
Yeah.
But Memphis come out with rotation players and second units and scoring 30s and 40s in a quarter.
15 plus every quarter.
15 plus difference every quarter. That's not even like one quarter was the difference. Do you see what I mean? That was a consistent arse whooping. You can't even ignore it. And there's no real way you can look at it and go, what could OKC have done different? Oh, they were missing Shea, they were missing Josh Giddey. Yeah, but they're not going to score 73 points, as you said. They just got an absolute arse whooping. An embarrassing arse whooping, if you ask me.
So this is the plus minus for OKC. It's quite funny to look at. Their starters, it goes minus 44, minus 47, minus 53, minus 56, and minus 32.
What can you say?
That's what I mean.
What can you say?
Like it's fucking ridiculous.
I saw something on Instagram the other day, and it was like a coach making his whole team run suicides during a timeout on the court.
Yeah, I see that.
I'm surprised OKC didn't do that. Like, I think that would probably be more justifiable to do that.
Yeah.
And just say, this is embarrassing, run a couple of suicides. Like,
I mean, imagine how empty that arena would have been if it was in OKC by the half time.
Yeah. It just shows you how how quickly the NBA can change, though. Do you know what I mean? So they've gone from having probably a potential superstar team not too long ago with KD, James Harden, Booker,
10 years ago.
10 years ago. In that time period, they're now bottom of the pile, getting, setting history records, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But then the same thing with Philadelphia. I mean, Philadelphia, when they were bad 10 years ago, well, not now, last year, because they're still bad now.
Oh yeah, and it's not looking good for them either in terms of their standing. So I get tanking, and I get obviously you want to take up good draft picks, but let's learn this from like last year. The way they do the system now, just because you tank and you come bottom of the conference doesn't mean you get number one draft pick anymore. No. It doesn't. Like, you could end up getting fifth.
That was the whole Zion thing, like that the 2019 draft, the 2019 lottery.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing with Zion. The whole thing, like, the Pelicans weren't even that bad, and they got the number one draft pick.
They got the number one draft pick, yeah. And then obviously we know how that's turned out. Zion's not really stepped foot on the floor, but it's they're now 6-16 on a losing of an eight loss streak. Yeah,
that's tragic. At least they know the next time they play Lakers, they get a win.
Well, yeah, they're looking at the calendar going, when's that Laker game?
Yeah. But the problem is, for me, it's like when you've got players like Shea, like if you want to do this, get rid of him.
Yeah.
Like, he is an all-star talent. Like, imagine him on like Clippers, for example, a Kawhi-less Clippers right now. The Clippers are doing well without Kawhi. No, I don't think anyone expected this, but imagine Shea on like that team. Well, he was on that team, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he got traded out. Yeah.
So imagine him if he was still there. You know, it's not. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to hold on to people like this. Like last year, they had Al Horford. They didn't play him because he was, he's a vet. He don't want to lose. Same with Shea. Like, they've not really played him for the last 2 years.
Well, this is like the whole Kevin Love situation, wasn't it, with Cleveland? This is where Cleveland has done it right recently. Is they were going through that same period of rebuilding, bringing youngsters. 2 seasons ago, for the last 2 seasons, Kevin Love said, I don't really want to play on a losing team. He's like, I don't want to play on a team when you've shipped out Kyrie, you've shipped out LeBron, I'm now stuck in Cleveland with a losing record. Now what's happened is the piece they built around it, and they've got Evan Mobley and Darius Garland and bits and pieces like this.
Added Jarrett Allen.
Added Jarrett Allen.
Yeah.
Kevin Love's now like, I want to play, and he's dropping good numbers as well in slow minutes. OKC aren't in a position to do that for Shea.
And they're not going to be.
And they're not going to be for a long time. Tanking one season's not going to change overnight.
Exactly. I understand tanking, but me personally, as a GM, I don't know. Obviously, none of them would ever admit to tanking, but as a GM, I'm only tanking if there's a generational talent coming through that's going to enter the draft class that year.
Which is not this year.
Which there's not this year.
It's not.
As like Zion would be the last person that you'd take, wouldn't you? You'd tank for Zion, which what supposedly people did, and none of them ended up with him. So,
I think, you're quite right. I think this is not the year to start tanking. And when you've got people coming through like Mikey Williams in the next sort of like 4 years, then you tank. These generational talents, as you say, are going to be real big superstars. At the moment, I know you've got a couple of boys coming out of Duke, and you've got a couple of boys coming out of Kentucky who aren't, bad at all. They're actually quite good. And probably what you'd class as not generational talents, but NBA ready. NBA ready players.
A franchise player.
But you're not people you tank for.
No.
And you're not people you take a 73-point loss for.
Not when you've got a whole Bible's worth of draft picks that OKC have already got anyways.
Yeah. And what are you saying to these players anyway? You're going to draft like real good talent out of college, but you're tanking and you're getting 73-point losses. They're not going to want to come and play in OKC.
No, exactly.
Where's the motivation for them to go, I want to come and play for you?
Exactly. Come the combine, they're not going to put on a show because they don't want to get picked.
They don't get picked.
By OKC.
Yeah. Or in fact, they probably could shoot 0 for 10 in the combine and be like, oh, actually, you're better than what we've got already. Do you know what I mean? He's putting up no points, but you look better.
Anyways, from negative to positive, we're talking about the 2 games of the week. The Warriors and the Suns.
Great game.
They split.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do we think this is the Western Conference Finals?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I think Phoenix are going to go for a bit of a tougher spell now because obviously Devin Booker picked up a bit of a slight injury. I think it's his hamstring, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So they're going to go for a bit of a rocky patch, but I can't see any other team really challenging the Warriors and Phoenix. Bearing in mind, Warriors have still got Clay to come back. He's going to be coming back in the next week or 2. I know he's playing for the G League affiliate at the moment. I saw him hit up a game winning in a scrimmage.
Yeah, in a practice run, that was dope.
Which looks smooth as hell. So he'll be back in the next couple of weeks.
That's the thing. People saying like, oh, can he be the person? Can he be the person he was before he left? He's a shooter. He doesn't really dribble the ball.
Doesn't really do much
Yes,
else.
he's a slasher and he was a great defensive player. So he might lose a step on the defensive end, but he's still going to be able to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
People don't forget to shoot.
I know game speed is a lot different to training and bits and pieces like this and scrimmages, but his lateral quickness in defending and when you see him moving, he doesn't look that bad.
No.
I know it's going to look different when he goes in, but you're not going to put Klay Thompson in tomorrow and start making him guard the best player in the court. They're going to ease him into it, minutes restrictions, bits and pieces like this.
Yeah.
He's going to add what they're missing though, which is consistent scoring from 3-point, because at the moment
It's just Steph and Jordan Poole when he's on.
it's just, yeah, and the thing about Steph is, and I'm sure you've watched their games recently, he is getting box and one, full court press, double teamed.
Yeah.
He's having to fight for every point that he gets.
Yeah.
And he's still dropping 30 points a game.
Yeah.
I think it is honestly something else.
Steph's out and out MVP right now.
Oh,
because of what he's got to work for.
If you look at every other of these MVP candidates at the moment, because there's some real good players at the moment, no one is getting defended like Steph.
No.
Full court press. No one is a bigger threat than Steph right now, and the NBA knows it. Everyone's putting up good numbers, like DeMar DeRozan, for example. He's doing really well in Chicago. I think a lot of people didn't expect him to do this well. I was watching him play last night against Brooklyn. Fourth quarter went off.
And you know, I actually watched it this morning. Is DeMar DeRozan probably has to take? Well, he doesn't have to take, but he probably takes the toughest jump shots in the league. Like his mid-range jumpers, no doubt, every single time he takes one, someone's draped all over him, if not 2 people. Yeah. And he's playing really well. Like he's my MVP. Do you know what? You could even throw him in most improved.
Yeah,
he's been here. He's been at this level before, but obviously in the years in San Antonio,
in the most recent time. Yeah,
these years in San Antonio, he didn't fall off, but he wasn't in a position where he wanted to play this well. Now he's in a position where he's happy playing with Zach LaVine and Lonzo Ball, who hit the guy-ahead free last night.
Yeah, great shot. Created by DeMar as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like he's such
playmaking abilities there.
LaVine and DeRozan are such threats that the defense collapses and they've got kickouts. Caruso's a defensive monster as well. Anyways, back to the Suns and the Warriors.
Yeah. So I think yes, they will be
Western
Conference Finals. And I have to give it to the Warriors at this moment in time from what I'm seeing. They've got the same.
I'm the same way. I think a lot of people flipped to the Suns. There was like in that first game, was it Monday night?
Yeah.
Monday night, it was like the Suns handled the Warriors. Mikal Bridges on Steph. Steph can't handle length. Mikal Bridges gave it to him on the defensive end. Listen, that's an anomaly. Steph won't ever shoot that bad again. No. Maybe in the playoffs, because we all know Steph in the playoffs. But
not across 7 games, though.
Nah, not across 7 games. Absolutely not.
And if he does shoot that badly in one of those games, you better prepare for game 2 because he'll light it up.
Yeah,
he takes it personally, as Michael Jordan would say.
Well, this is what and this is what happened in their second matchup.
Yeah,
is all right? It was in the Bay, but they lit them up. They won by 22. Yeah. Steph had a good night.
Put all those doubters in the first game to shame, didn't they?
The Suns didn't have Devin Booker for the whole game, but they didn't have him for the second half of the game in the first matchup, and it was close the whole way. And Steph had a shit night, so I think the Warriors are edging it, although they lost to the Spurs last night.
Yeah,
which is actually ironic because tomorrow night the Spurs play the Suns And if they beat them, that'd be sick.
Yeah, I always say though, the Spurs aren't a team to talk about really and truly, but under Greg Pop, he has a great fundamentally sound team.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing with the NBA is anyone can win on any given night. The Golden State Warriors won 11 straight games at home, and San Antonio, of all people, just beat them.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah.
So
But then it goes back to what you were just saying about Mikal Bridges. The San Antonio guards are all really long
lengthy guards. Yeah,
really
exactly.
long. And they defend like anyone else. Do you know what I mean? There's switches, and when you switch out from, let's say, Dejounte Murray, and you've got then Derek White on you, you still got long guards, and you still got people who know how to defend.
Yeah, but this is what they were saying about what's his name for the Suns? They're big. What's his name?
Oh, DeAndre Ayton.
Ayton. They were saying that they can switch everything because Ayton can keep up with the guards.
Yeah.
And obviously with the Spurs, they can switch out and everything as well because for the majority of their players can keep up with the guards. And if that's what it takes to beat the Warriors, then I just think they had an off night against the Spurs.
I think what the Spurs did well is they utilised their length very well. Like Jacob Portal, whatever his name is, Patel, whatever his name is, I can't even pronounce it, but he played really well. And the only reason why he did really well in that game is because Golden State haven't really got the size to deal with someone like that.
Yeah. Well, this has always been their issue. This has always been their issue, even back to their first run. With Kevon Looney and Andrew Bogut in the first run. That was all they had, size-wise.
And they're not the biggest people, are they?
No, they're not the biggest. Obviously, they're waiting for Wiseman to come back. But in what we have seen of him, he wasn't what we expected.
No, he wasn't crashing the boards as you would expect the one big man on the Warriors team. I'm
personally, if I'm in Golden State, I'm going for a good big. Maybe shipping out a couple of guys for a good big.
Yeah.
Draymond's, he's having a great defense. He's up there for Defensive Player of the Year already for sure. He's having a great, but he still gives up a lot of size.
Would you, in reality, if Klay Thompson comes back and he's healthy, and with Jordan Poole playing the way he is at the moment, would you look at trading Andrew Wiggins for a big with his, obviously because Andrew Wiggins is playing really well at the moment. He's actually improved quite a bit this year.
Yeah, he's playing well.
So with his value so high at the moment, would you then look to maybe ship him out for that big?
No, I wouldn't, because I feel you need that length. Like Andrew Wiggins is the length of like the Mikal Bridges, and you see him hit that penny move. Chris Paul, yeah, that was bad, man. I'd probably lean more towards. Now I think obviously Jordan Poole's got the better future than Andrew Wiggins for sure, but I'd lean more towards getting rid of Jordan Poole, and maybe even Gary Payton, because his stock's risen.
Well, from the defensive end, he's like the Warriors' Alex Caruso in that respect.
Of course.
He'll probably get you 6 to 8 points a game, but what he does on the defensive end is a lot more effort, a lot more hustle. I saw him diving all over the floor last night, like playing for loose ball plays.
That's what I'm saying.
No one else in the Warriors is really doing that right now.
I think the Warriors, 1 through 8 right now, they're all playing really well, and I think most teams would trade for any one of them.
Yeah.
But I think they've got to go for someone like a Miles Turner kind of big. I think if they brought
a proper rim protector,
if they brought somebody in like that they're going to be a problem. Like a true starting centre. Not like I'm not talking like a Hassan Whiteside or, no one like scrappy like that.
Yeah.
But I think if they get that done, they could go 16-0 in the playoffs. Because nobody out east beating them. Let's move to the east.
Okay, interesting.
Let's move to the east. So Brooklyn at the top, which might I point out, you are 1 game away from your
prediction.
I
know. I'm feeling confident.
I'm feeling confident as well. I backed it from the second you said it. So Chicago are in second place, 16-8. They just beat Brooklyn.
That win against Brooklyn last night was massive for that, by the way, because that really closed that gap, and now it's a level playing field, isn't it?
Yeah. So Brooklyn are 16-7, so they played 1 less game.
Game in hand, but
yep.
Brooklyn at the moment, they don't. What I saw from last night at Brooklyn, if James Harden or Kevin Durant is not playing well or not hitting shots, Brooklyn really don't have an answer.
No.
Do you know what I mean? LaMarcus Aldridge, his jump shot looks quite smooth at the moment and in certain situations, but he's not going to drop you 20 points a game and bits and pieces.
And the same with Millsap. Like Millsap putting up the numbers he put up last night isn't going to happen. He's averaging 2.3 points a game.
He started off the season really, really well. Everyone was saying like, oh, he's playing still Olympic ball and stuff like that. But he's sort of dropped off massively. He's not your consistent scorer, is he?
No.
And this is what I like about the Bulls compared to the Nets, is that DeMar, Levine, Vucevic at the moment, he's come back through. I know he fell off a little bit because of COVID and he had protocols and bits and pieces, but now he's looking a lot more healthier.
Yeah, and he's looking well.
The only person I'm probably saying he's probably not reached the potential he should do in that team is Lonzo. I'd like to see Lonzo dictate the plays a lot more. At the moment, they're playing a lot more through DeMar and Levine.
Yeah.
I'd like Lonzo to go, I'm the point guard, let me try and get some shots open. Like, do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
At the moment, it seems to be DeMar gets the ball, clears out, pick and pop with obviously Vucevic. Won't give it up though. Just wants that switch onto, let's say, LaMarcus Aldridge last night, takes him to the mid range, and it's going to be buckets.
Yeah.
At the moment, and then Zach LaVine, similar scenario. You know, he likes that one-on-one ball. He's much more aggressive than DeMar. So you've got like a mid range shooter. You've got LaVine is going to take it to the rim every time. Vucevic, he's not your conventional big. He has stepped out a lot more. He
can step out, yeah.
Yeah, he hits threes a lot more. The one thing I'm looking at is, where does Lonzo fit in this system?
Well, I think Lonzo, I get what you're saying. He needs to. Lonzo is a true point guard, but he does need to take control. I think. Yeah. I think his voice, maybe it's his persona, but that's the thing that sets him off between him and LaMelo. Is LaMelo's got that assertive. You can tell just by watching him that he's assertive. It's you here, this pick, that pick, call this play, that play. That's the difference between him and LaMelo. Maybe because LaMelo is on a team where he is the top one or two players. Obviously, Gordon Hayward's not really as good as he was. No. So he I don't know if you'd say he's better than LaMelo, and Bridges. They're the only two players that you could say Terry Rozier isn't better than LaMelo. Absolutely not. So maybe it's because he is on a team where he's top one or two. That might be the difference. But I think watching Lonzo, he doesn't look out of place. Like he looks as good as them other guys.
He looks good.
His numbers just don't reflect it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Although
but hitting that game winner, or that go ahead last night, obviously wasn't the game winner. Hitting that go ahead last night,
hit the dagger little thing.
Yeah. That was the shit for him. Like of them three, I'd rather see him do it for a bit of a confidence boost.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, as for Brooklyn, obviously they're sitting number one in the East. I can't see it. I can't see them being there. I can't see them being there by the All-Star break. James Harden showed flurries of old James Harden, but if you watch them games, he's getting calls that he was getting a couple of years ago. Not this new look NBA. But yeah, nobody else is doing shit. There's no updates with Kyrie.
There won't be an update with Kyrie.
No,
he's a forgotten man now. I think you just need to move on.
I mean, I don't know. This is what I'm saying. I don't know what they expect from it, because this isn't going to be this sole year. If the mandate's in New York, that's a fixture. That's not going to change next year either. So I don't know what they plan on doing with that.
Well, the thing is that there's more and more variants of COVID coming out. Yeah. So, in fact, they're not going to relax.
No, exactly. It's going to get tougher.
It's going to get tougher. So it's like at the moment, Kyrie's basketball career is a forgotten fixture at the moment. He's not playing at the moment.
Well, they got for Brooklyn, it's what their Cam Thomas is like their third best player, and for the best part of the start of the season, he was playing in the G League. He was a standout in the summer league, but he's not up to scratch for the big boys.
Is that where, do you think this is where Brooklyn went wrong in the offseason by getting too many veterans in, like LaMarcus and Paul Millsap and Blake Griffin? Do you think they put too much money into vets? Because at the moment, Blake Griffin seems to play out one game and then doesn't play the next game.
Blake Griffin's been awful.
Exactly.
Blake Griffin really has been awful. And it was weird because obviously when he first come over to Brooklyn, it was like, the rejuvenation, old Blake. And he's been terrible. He's been really bad. And I think funny because obviously they were both in their respective conference, that poised to come out of each conference, but the Lakers are in the same boat. You know, they've given too much effort in their stars. They've given it all to their stars, and it's like, right, well, now we've got to pick up the scraps to fill roster spots, and they've gone for vets that used to be good. I mean, if you pick these teams up and put everyone in their prime, they're unstoppable teams.
5 years ago.
Yeah, they're unstoppable teams, but now it just doesn't translate.
Yeah, it's 2020, 2021, 2022. It's not it's not 2016 again.
No, and obviously Milwaukee are steaming. Undefeated when they're quote-unquote big free plays.
Yeah.
And now they're all back and they're all healthy. News about Brook Lopez is bad.
But I like Bobby Portis in that role.
Yeah, I like Bobby Portis in this role. But whether he can maintain it as a fixed spot, obviously they picked up DeMarcus as well. DeMarcus Cousins, who, he seemed all right in a couple of games. But...
he's a bit of a liability, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
he looked all right against the Clippers last year in the playoffs as well. But, yeah, he is a liability. Bobby Portis is good in that role.
Yeah.
And he's probably not as big. But you got, in the playoffs last year, you had your Brook Lopez game. Just like you had your Drew game, and just like you had your Chris Middleton game. There was always, in every round, there was a Brook Lopez game.
I remember we were talking about Brook Lopez a lot and the way he was playing and the shots. Because we were saying a lot about what we liked about seeing Brook Lopez is that he started playing as a big again and not sitting on the actual perimeter. And that was game-changing for Milwaukee. And they're going to have to go back to that perimeter shooting. Because even DeMarcus doesn't like playing inside anymore because he gets injuries a lot more inside. Do you know what I mean? So he does sit out on the 3-point line a lot more, which is questionable choice. Not really what I'd put down as a 3-point shooter.
No.
But it's what it is.
I think that's just if a guard's driving in and they've got no option to kick it out to him and the shot clock's running out, he's throwing it up. But other than that, I don't see it.
Milwaukee are sort of like... So... Everyone at the moment is talking about the Nets and the Bulls in the East, right? Milwaukee, let's not forget, are the current NBA champions.
Yeah.
They've made some good additions in the offseason with Grayson Allen as a 3-point shooter and a spot-up shooter.
Yep.
Retained most of the talent they had in Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton and Giannis, of course. I think a lot of people are overlooking the Bucks.
Yeah, definitely. But then I feel they've been that way. I feel a lot of people. I think we spoke probably in the first round of the playoffs that Milwaukee were being overlooked. You especially.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been back in the Bucks for a few years now.
For a few years, yeah.
Yeah, so you just stayed true to it, and it come out. So
do you know what the differential is that the Bucks and the Bulls have great balance. The Bulls have more balance across 1 through 5.
Yeah.
But the Bucks, they know they've got their bigs in sort of like Giannis and that sort of approach. They know they've got shooters as well, and they know they're a good defensive team. They focus very heavily on defense, especially Drew Holiday. Chris Middleton's a great defender. Yeah, I think that's the one thing that the Nets are missing compared to those two.
Balance.
Is balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Because obviously, if you take one guy away from Chicago, so you take DeRozan out, they're still going to be good. You take Levine out, they're still going to be good. You take Lonzo out, they're still going to be good. You know, even obviously they were playing for a while without Vucevic, and they were still good. Now, the Bucks are still the same. You take Giannis out, and it's a little bit of a drop off, but they played without him last night, and they got it done. Who did they play last night? They played Miami last night. Obviously, without Jimmy Butler, they still got it done. Bobby Portis had a good night. But it's the same thing. You take Chris Middleton out and you take Drew Holiday out, and they're still a decent team. But you take one of Brooklyn's guys
you take KD or you take Harden out
and
of
it's
Brooklyn,
game over.
and
It's game over. It's like you're playing the OKC Thunder.
Bit of shade. I like it.
So yeah, that's gonna, and obviously we know how injury prone KD and James Harden can be.
Well, the whole,
not so much KD this year, but
the whole team's pretty, star-wise, they're pretty injury-prone. Blake Griffin's injury-prone. LaMarcus Aldridge had that issue last year, which he had to retire and then unretire.
Yeah.
James Harden, injury-prone. I think it's more, historically, I think it was more ego-boosting than injury, especially at like Rockets. I think he just didn't want to play.
Yeah. That was
and
fact.
Blamed it on injury. But then, you're right. KD, he's only one slip or one tear away from another injury. So.
Yeah. Well, Brooklyn need to do something, because I feel I know they're sitting atop, we're talking as if they're not sitting atop the East. They are. But if they get bounced out in the first or the second round, James Harden's off. James Harden's not going to re-sign. It's anyone's guess is what's happening with Kyrie. They're going to lose LaMarcus Aldridge. They're going to lose Paul Millsap. Blake Griffin's probably going to retire. Next year they're going to have no team. It's going to be KD and nobody. KD and Cam Thomas.
KD and rebuild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And realistically, it's all Kyrie's fault. You want to take it back. Supposedly KD wanted to go to the Knicks. Kyrie's like, fuck that. Let's go Brooklyn. They go to Brooklyn, and now Kyrie's not there. They got to get James Harden. Now Kyrie's not there, and poor KD's sitting there holding the bag.
Yeah.
Kyrie's cashed out. James Harden's going to cash out at the end of this year. KD's left holding the bag.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there.
Which sucks because it had so much potential to be. I think when that team got to put together, everyone hated and loved it. It was very much like a Marmite situation. It was like, oh, it's another super team in the league, and they're just going to dominate the East. And because of the whole COVID situation, the pandemic, it's gone tits up for them. Yeah, which is good. Like you say, it's good and bad in a way, because I think everybody wanted to see it, and the games, the fucking 9 games we did get last year, where all 3 of them played, it looked great. But at the same time, it's good. Made the East so much more competitive.
Exactly. And I feel like the East is real close as well. Like the drop off in the West is mad, but with the East, it's like top 2, Brooklyn and Charlotte with 16 wins. Then you got Milwaukee at 15, and you got Washington and Miami with 14, Cleveland, Boston, Charlotte with 13. Like until you get to, well, there's not really a drop off until you get to
the Pacers and Magic.
You get to the last 2. Yeah. There's no drop off, but in the West, there's a drop off from 1 and 2. Then there's a 4-game drop off to 3. And then there's a 2-game drop off to 4. And then, by the time you get to Denver, Lakers, and Minnesota in the play-in, and Portland in the play-in, they're trash. Yeah. At the moment, the West is a 2-horse race. Yes. Like, do you know what I mean? That's all it is. The East is pretty much wide open. Yeah. It's so wide open. And it can go either way. I still personally believe that the Bulls have a lot more in the locker. I mean, this is a prime example. I think the last podcast that we did 2 weeks ago, I'm pretty sure the Bucks were down the bottom of the conference. Yeah, no, they're about. They were for like 11th, I think. Yeah, they weren't down. I think they were either in the play-in, or just out of it, on the borderline of it. And now they're 3rd. So I think they were 7th in the East, and now they're 3rd, as you say. They've gone on a nice little 3-win streak at the moment. Yeah, they're doing well. Always believe in the Bucks. Yeah. Right. Now, we said that Snazz isn't here this week, obviously. However, he did put some Dunk to Deny together. So, let's hit it. It's time to Dunk to Deny. Dunk to Denied. Yeah, and there's his voice, the boy. Right, so I would put on an impersonation of him, but no offence to anybody that is, I'm not as retarded as him, so I can't do it. So, his first question he's got for us, which we've already touched on: Golden State and Phoenix are the only teams to worry about in the West right now. 100% dunked. Yeah, 100% dunked. Right now, I think is the key word, though. I think for a couple of teams, the only team that really comes close to him is the Jazz. Yeah, for me, they're not going to make any. I mean, by trade deadlines, I think few teams are going to be different, especially out west. And obviously, we spoke about Golden State making. I don't see Phoenix making any moves, but we spoke about Golden State making moves. If they do, then obviously we'd have to see if it holds up. They probably won't. No, they probably won't. I mean, for fuck's sake, they're 19 and 3. I think Steve Kerr likes playing the small ball. Yeah, for sure. Warriors are tried and tested. Warriors are one of the highest turnover teams in the league. I think that actually might be the highest turnover team in the league. But he doesn't care about that because he's still going to score more than the other team. No, exactly. Like you got scorers, and scorers aren't there to be passing the ball and making excellent plays. That's how the Golden State Warriors are. Yeah. I mean, they push the tempo. They'll outshoot you, and that's that. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to dunk with you, mate. They're the only 2 teams to worry about. Phoenix are phenomenal. I mean, that 18-game win streak. They started off 1 and 3. Now they're 19 and 3. Found their rhythm again, haven't they? Yeah. So it's impressive to see. and both of them are going to be hard to beat if they do make it to the conference finals, or if they do match up at any stage in the playoffs. It's going to be a classic series, straight up, dunked. Second one he's got for us. LaMelo Ball creeping into the MVP mix. Does he have what it takes to be the best player in the league in years to come?
This is a hard one, and I'm not yet jumping on fully committing to the LaMelo bandwagon. I think he's a good player, but to say he's going to be the best player in the league in years to come, like when you think about it, put it this way, is he better than Luka Doncic?
Well, no, he's not, is he?
And Luka Doncic is only 21, 22 years old.
Yeah.
For me, Luka Doncic is going to be up there higher in best player in the NBA in years to come than what LaMelo is.
Yeah.
From what I've seen so far. Great player, really good player.
He is a really good player. Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't even have him in MVP talks. I know he's not the bottom of the MVP talks right now, but I wouldn't even have him there. I mean, the Hornets are good.
They're eighth in the East.
But yeah. But they've got two young players in Bridges and Ball who have come out. They've got Rozier who's been playing well recently, and Gordon Hayward.
So in your opinion, who's your top 3 MVP race at the moment?
Who's top 3 for me right now?
Yeah, your opinion, not what the statistics say, but in your opinion.
Steph, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
KD and Giannis are interchangeable.
Yeah.
But Steph's the out-and-out leader.
So for me, LaMelo doesn't touch any of those.
No, of course not. No.
So you can't even say he's creeping.
But you think in years to come, unless, LaMelo, I can't see it, but unless LaMelo was to develop a Steph-type jump shot, then yes, but I mean, that's a fucking big ask.
That's a big ask.
That's what I'm saying. So for him, obviously, he's 6'8", he's a hell of a lot bigger than Steph, but I can't. Even his current attributes getting better, I can't see him being the dominant force in the league like a Steph or a KD. I'd love to see it. I would love to see it, but how much better is he going to get?
That is the question.
I mean, if podcasts existed back in 2010, people might have been saying the same thing about Steph.
And can he do that at Charlotte, do you think?
Yeah, well, this is the other thing as well.
Or does he have to go to an actual franchise team?
As a young guy, he's in Charlotte with Michael Jordan as his mentor. If you want to put it like that, he's probably poised. Do you think Michael Jordan
actually has that much?
I do think he does. I think he cares that much about the team. I think he really does. I mean, he's there most games, and you see him get heated in certain situations. I mean, it was that guy who slapped around the head a couple of years ago.
I saw that.
got a technical, didn't he? Say slapped him around the head. Man, that was bands. So I do think Michael Jordan does. I remember a story from years ago. I think it might even been when they were the Bobcats. That there was a young guy on their team that said that Michael Jordan's washed up and that he could beat him. So Michael Jordan took the whole team 1-on-1 as a drill in practice and spanked every single one of them. So I do think he cares that much. I do think he probably is a help for the players.
I think he's got a lot of areas to improve on.
Yeah.
One thing, his playmaking ability is second to none. I think his vision of the court is unreal.
But that's in his blood because you see the same thing in Lonzo.
Yeah, exactly. He's just probably better at executing it at the moment in the team he's in. But for me, I think
was a good matchup as well, by the way. That was last week.
Did you see LaMelo dropped a 3 on Lonzo? Went straight back down the end. Lonzo dropped a 3 on him.
That was a good matchup.
Good little matchup there. But I think for me, LaMelo needs to get more consistent with his jump shot for a start. And he has to be that go-to player as well. Like you've got on the balls at the moment with Levine and DeMar, who you're confident that if you get them the ball in the fourth quarter and you need someone to make a shot, it's going to happen. Yeah. Like what you saw with DeMar yesterday, going mid-range against LaMarcus when it's such a tight game, and to have the confidence to knock down shots, consistently. Yeah. I need to see that from LaMelo to start even considering putting him in that conversation.
Yeah. he could get there. I think
Could
it's
do
a
it.
stretch. He could get there, but right now I'm going denied. I can't see it.
No, I think I agree.
Double denied. Right, last one he's got for us. The Grizzlies hold the largest margin of win in a regular season game. The Grizzlies without Ja are still tough competitors in the West. Nah.
No.
Yeah, they hold that record against one of the worst teams in NBA
I was
history.
about to say, let's not get ahead of ourselves here for a second. Like, OKC are dog water. Like,
Yeah, I mean they've
water.
got the largest. They're the recipients of the largest deficit on a home court and an away court now. Yeah, in the same calendar year, this team is trash. This team, without Shea, without Giddey, not Giddey's that much of a difference maker, but they're trash.
Put it this way: if they will, when the Grizzlies get into the playoffs, if Ja Morant is not in those playoff games,
They're getting bounced.
They're getting
bounced. They also, I was meant to say earlier, they also beat Houston by 40 this season. Earlier in this season, Houston are obviously another poor team, so they can pour in the buckets against poor teams. Can they do it against the number one defence in the league? No.
Oh, they're not turning up to Chicago and doing that in Chicago.
No.
They're not turning up to Brooklyn and doing it
No,
there
exactly.
either. Like,
Exactly. So, no. It's weird to think. I think with Ja, they wouldn't have won by so much.
really? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, think about it, man. They won by 73. With Ja on the floor, do you really think they'd have won by 100? Because Ja would have given you at least 30.
Yeah.
Would they have won by 100? Absolutely fucking not.
Ja would have given you 30 in 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. JJJ can do it.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? Yeah, because obviously...
The highlight reel would have been better to watch.
Oh, it would have been so much fun.
Ja was there.
So much fun.
Yeah, it would be like a little preview of dunk contest sort of thing. But
Obviously, we're hoping he gets back soon. No, I don't think the Grizzlies are shit without Ja.
I agree.
Stephen Adams played well in that game, but didn't rack up no points, but he was everywhere, here, there, and everywhere.
And again, Stephen Adams is the person that's kind of on the fringes of the rotation. He's not really getting into the team that much at the moment.
And that's why I found that Valanciunas trade so weird.
Yeah.
Because Valanciunas is... The night he had the other night, who was they playing? They played someone and he was just banging from everywhere in the first half.
Valanciunas is a much, much bigger asset than Stephen Adams.
Yeah, much bigger. Yeah. Well, that's dunked as denied. We finishing up there with 2 denies. Anything else you want to touch on?
No, actually. I'm just interested to see how the next couple of weeks go, especially with the Eastern Conference.
Leading up to Christmas, what's your Christmas Day game? What's your Christmas Day Advent calendar, that number 25 that you're opening up the door to? What's the one that you're really pulling out of the bag and going, oh shit, wait a second.
The one most excited for?
Everybody must be taking their Christmas Day naps when I watch this game.
Warriors Suns.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Well, I think that's the only one that's really... I mean, obviously, the schedules are put together early in the summer, and a lot of these games should have been something, but they're not going to be anything. And I think the Warriors-Sun was a game that people were looking at and saying, that ain't really going to be that much. But now the season's kicked off and they're top 2 in the West, it's like, that's the circled game.
The thing is, this is what's disappointing, is because you've also got Nets Lakers. That should have been a one to...
Yeah, that should have been the circled.
Yeah, but it's just not going to be, is it?
No.
I wouldn't, to be fair, I'll throw it out there, I wouldn't be surprised if Lakers come away with the win on that one.
I wouldn't be surprised, no.
Wouldn't be surprised, but it's not going to be a classic to watch.
What do you feel of the whole situation with the Lakers right now? Russ is playing better. Melo's fallen off a little. And all these issues with LeBron. Like, what? Like his injury, I get it. Nothing can be done about that. This 1 game suspension, I get that as well. As much as people say that he shouldn't have been suspended for that, it was inadvertent, whatever. Yeah. I get that. But this whole COVID situation was weird, man.
What, the whole arm positive and 2 negative tests and stuff like that?
Yeah, he took 2 tests. 1 was positive, 1 was negative. So because he got a positive, he falls into the protocol. A couple of days later, takes 2 more tests. 1 was negative and 1 was inconclusive. And
but now
he's still in the protocol. Then he takes, I think it was 8 straight negatives, and they're like, oh, okay, you can come back.
Yeah.
After how many games did he miss? 4?
4. Yeah. No,
Yeah, 4. 3 or 4?
3, I think.
3.
Yeah, 3.
Weird, no? Do you like a lot? Obviously, conspiracy theorists are saying.
But the geezer's double jabbed as well, and he got his
supposedly, I don't think they've got any proof of this.
Well, do you see the geezer in Italy? He got the fake arm.
Yeah. I don't think the league's asked for any proof. I think they're just taking words. But I'm pretty sure LA is mandated it the same way New York has. So he has to be.
I know. California in total is just really heavy.
Yeah,
really heavy on it at the moment. So
because they had the whole issue in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers said he was vaccinated. And then he got COVID, and it turns out he wasn't vaccinated. But it's in Massachusetts. It's not mandated. So maybe he just bullshitted it. But a lot of people saying that maybe he's not vaccinated. But then there was never a consistent positive test with LeBron. So conspiracy theorists are saying because of LeBron's pushback and the way that he complains about the league handling the suspension, that they're punishing him for it, which is just weird to me because LeBron is the league's bread and butter.
Yeah.
So I don't see it.
LeBron can't afford to get a chip in his shoulder at the moment.
Not this late in his career, no.
Not this late in his career, and not in the position that the Lakers are in.
No, exactly.
He just needs to get back on the court and just focus on improving the Lakers because they're diabolical at the moment.
That loss to the Clippers was tragic.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
I mean, when you got Morris dropping the game-winning 3 when you're down 2.
But let's not forget at this sense as well that Lakers at the moment are 8th in the West, I believe. And we just, as you pointed out earlier, so close in the Western Conference that they can drop out the playoffs.
The play-in, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're sitting at 500 right now, 1 game ahead of Minnesota.
Yeah, they can honestly drop out.
They could.
And that would be bad for LeBron. That would be bad for the Lakers in general.
It would be tragic. I do feel that this isn't the team that they'll be taken to the playoffs. I think a lot of heads are going to get moved, but.
Could Westbrook be looking for a new team for the time in so many years?
I think they'll be sticking by Westbrook. I think they'd look like absolute idiots. AD and LeBron especially, as soon as though that it was on their word they called him in. I think the franchise as a whole would be looked at as a joke if they was to get rid of Westbrook. Plus, nobody wants him.
Well, if you look at the West right now, Dame Lillard is probably not going to miss the playoffs. So you can expect...
Probably not going to miss the playoffs. That's a bold shout, man.
Mate, Dame Lillard
they're 10th right now.
They're 10th, but it's only 1 game back. Do you know what I mean? It's so close in that. And the way CJ McCollum and Dame are playing... Dame started off really slowly in the league, by the way. Like, this season, Dame was poor shooting percentages, poor all over. But over the last few weeks, he's picking it up.
He's picked it up. He's still not Dame time, though.
No, but that's coming. That's going to come.
I like you being high on that. I'm not so high. I mean, you say they're 1 game back. They're also 1 game ahead of Sacramento as well.
Yeah.
So it swings and roundabouts here.
Well, no one's expecting much from Sacramento moving forward, but I think that the Wolves are playing well.
And Edwards, that boy.
And Edwards, Russell's playing really well. D'Angelo Russell. Percentages aren't great.
He's such a slow player, though.
Yeah. That's what
weird.
I mean. Percentages aren't that well, but as soon as he starts cooking, he's
he gets there, yeah. And Karl Anthony Towns is Karl Anthony Towns.
Well, yeah, Cat is borderline. I think a lot of people are having him up there in the MVP discussions at the work moment for the way he's playing. Personally, I don't think he should be in the discussion at all.
No.
But a lot of people sort of like saying he's playing really well, just not recognised because
because of Minnesota.
It's Minnesota.
Yeah.
And B, they're just outside the play-in and playoffs. So, but I think Lakers are in a real limbo state. I think they need to pull their fucking finger out and.
Yeah, they are for sure.
The players they've got in that team, they should not be in the situation they're in.
No, absolutely not. Aging or not, I mean, LeBron is just LeBron, and AD is shooting terribly. He's playing all right. He's shooting terribly, but
he's the best power forward, meant to be the best power forward in the league.
He's meant to be a top 75 player.
Yeah,
this is what baffles me. Never should have been given that. Never should have been given that.
And you got Klay Thompson over there at 77.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
yeah, AD, it's a strange one. I mean, Frank Vogel, I think, is partly to blame as well. I mean, he's playing DeAndre Jordan a lot.
Yeah.
Which is baffling to me. If I'm out of personally, I wouldn't play either of them. Anthony Davis would be at the 5 pretty much the whole game and then go small ball without a 5, or LeBron at the 5. But you got Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan, and you're playing DeAndre Jordan more than Dwight Howard. And
Makes
Dwight
no
Howard was
sense.
part of the championship team, and he played well as a part of the championship team. He played well for Philly last year.
And when he has played for the Lakers, he played well.
Yeah,
He does. He's getting the odd double when he's not been playing that many minutes.
Yeah,
Like-
it's a strange. I mean, what did they think? Trevor Ariza is going to turn their season around when he comes back?
Trevor
Seriously?
Ariza.
Seriously?
Yeah. Taylor Horton Tucker as well.
Yeah, he had like
him.
what two good games when he come back.
Yeah, and now he's
It's the
gone
same. It's
quiet.
the same thing, man. Like every single young guy they've shipped out, and they go, right, we're shipping out all these young guys, and we're putting our faith in this one young guy that we're going to keep hold of. Taylor Horton Tucker's that new young one guy that they've left behind that has not played well. He's not playing well.
Young guys just
So,
don't do well in.
How's
the
Julius
Lakers.
Randle getting on?
Amazingly, yeah.
Yeah. How's Brandon Ingram getting on? You know, how's Lonzo getting on?
How's Kyle
Kuzma
Kuzma
getting
yeah,
on?
of
And now
all
they've
people.
kept
All people, Kyle Kuzma.
Taylor Horton Tucker, THT.
And you look at the bits that Alex Caruso were doing there in Chicago.
Exactly.
The defensive end of
Like,
Alex Caruso, which the Lakers are missing
The Lakers have come out and said that they fucked up.
Yeah, they fucked up with that one.
They fucked up with that
100%.
one. But yeah, I do, you know, for the last two, this is Frank Vogel's third season. So for the last 3 years, they've been a top 3 defense. This year, they are 27th. It's just, I mean, even without LeBron and AD last year, I think for a span they were still number 1. When LeBron and AD were out, and
It's just the pieces around there that's not building
doesn't fit.
a good team.
But this is the same. It's the same situation as the Nets. Actually, it's not the same situation as the Nets because the Lakers have young guys. Malik Monk, young. Kent Bazemore, he's not young, but he's not a Paul Millsap.
Kendrick Nunn, they're still waiting for
Wayne
Kendrick Nunn
Ellington.
to come back in.
Yeah, they're still waiting for Kendrick Nunn to come back in. But again, like, is he going to be? Is he going to be a franchise changer? No, he's not.
No, he's going to lead that second unit, and
You
that's
know,
about it.
Austin Reeves. These aren't Paul Millsap level players.
No, and the rotations, to be fair, if you look at the rosters, you're siding with the Nets all day long, aren't you?
Yeah.
I know you got LeBron and you got AD on the rosters, but then you counteract that with Harden and KD, right? So beyond that, and you start looking at the rotation, you start looking obviously the support players. You've got to look at the Nets and go, you're probably in a much better position
Yeah.
to do something this year.
Yeah.
And the Lakers are just
I'm gonna put it out there. Like, I don't give a fuck how much pushback I get. Anthony Davis is soft. Anthony Davis is soft. He's supposed to be a top 75 player, and you can only give. You can't even give him a good year for it because it wasn't even a year. So the 2020 season was the only time he's played well. No, he plays well in spouts, but the only time you can that bubble performance was his best performance ever, and it was a span of what, 10 weeks, something like that.
yeah.
12 weeks.
I'd agree with you.
Anthony
on the
Davis is
offensive
soft,
end,
man. I mean, he's supposedly a top 75 player. You know, when his career's said and done at this pace, what are you going to say about him? You're not going to put him as a top 5 power forward. You're not going to put him as a top 5 centre.
The thing about Anthony Davis is,
But he could be.
he's a face-up big though, isn't he? He gets the ball and he pivots around and he faces the basket. Whereas when you're 7 foot, you should be able to back down majority of the switches you get. But he switches, and very rarely will he muscle and sort of like show the weight room.
Yeah.
He gets it, spins, turns, and shoots like a mid-range jumper.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but you're fucking 7 foot tall.
But and this is the
Makes me
issue.
look brow.
As a whole, he's never put together a good season. As a whole, you get spurts. I think maybe one season he's finished in the top, like not top in the MVP race, but in the MVP talks. And I think it might have been that 2020 season. No, actually, it wouldn't have been because the the bubble didn't count towards the MVP, did it? Who won MVP? Giannis won MVP that year.
And rightly so.
And rightly so, yeah. Although they got bounced in the bubble. Yeah, AD's the Lakers move as AD moves. You know, we've been saying it from day one, and AD needs Westbrook's tenacity. He needs that dog mentality in him. That's what Westbrook is, but Westbrook just can't control it. If AD had that and he was as uncontrollable as Westbrook, Westbrook's like waving a steak in front of like a Rottweiler's face. You know, like you know the cartoons where you got the fish hook strapped to their back and it's just dangling. That's what Westbrook's like. AD needs to be like that. I think if AD was like that, I think there'd be a force. And it wouldn't really matter what Westbrook's doing. It wouldn't really matter, you know, whether he's at the 4 or the 5. Like,
yeah. The bad thing about Westbrook is he's got such a poor shooting percentage, so you can't rely on
his
that.
percentages are starting to come up. His turnovers have slightly dropped. I haven't got numbers, but they've slightly dropped in the last couple of weeks. So obviously we've said that in his move to Houston, it took a while for them to figure it out, and then his move to Washington, it took a while. So maybe he's figuring it out a bit quicker, but they're still not good nonetheless.
No. You're meant to be on a title contending team. You ain't got time to figure it out.
Favourites.
Yeah, you ain't got time to figure it out.
Favourites out of the West for sure.
And if they finish where they're finishing now, and they're finishing 8th position, and then get through the play-ins and then get through to the playoffs, they're playing either the Warriors or
the Suns.
The Suns first round.
They are fucked.
Not making life easy for themselves.
No.
At all.
Although, I think if that was to happen, if they go against the Warriors, they're getting bounced. If they go against the Suns, now I'm going to get some pushback here. I do think they might have a chance.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because I think AD can handle Ayton. And then bearing in mind they were 2-1 up when AD went down to the Suns last year. And then obviously it all fell apart, but they were 2-1 up against the Suns. If AD doesn't go down, maybe, the Suns don't get to the finals.
One thing I will say about that though is every single playoff appearance and every single playoffs that DeAndre Ayton gets into, he improves as a player. Like, his development as a big over the last 2 years has been astronomical. Like, he's probably one of the top centres in the league at the moment.
Yeah, agreed.
Davis has plateaued. So when you watch them play against each other next time round, have a look at that battle and that matchup.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying, but they're a different calibre player. Ayton's not on AD's level. AD is soft, but I'm taking AD over Ayton.
Oh yeah, a lot of people would.
And then you've got Westbrook and Booker or Chris Paul now, and then you haven't really got an answer for LeBron.
Mikal Bridges will.
Mikal Bridges will get on him, but he's not going to stop him.
No, you're going to stop him. He's going to slow him down slightly, but you're not going to stop him.
The best chance that the Suns have is to injure him. I think they tried that, didn't they?
Well,
Chris Paul tried yanking it.
I'm not getting into the politics of this, but
yeah. But if they was to go against the Warriors, it'd be a wipeout.
It'd be a wipeout. Yeah, they won't be able to maintain the firepower that
the
Warriors are bring.
They're not good enough on day. They're not quick enough to get out to the.
And you need to imagine. Okay, you're saying Phoenix might have to injure someone. Draymond Green will injure someone.
Draymond Green will injure someone. Yeah.
Draymond Green will injure someone.
Draymond Green had a great night against the Suns the other night. I got it here. Against the Suns at home. So 9 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, 6 steals.
Unbelievable.
And 3 blocks.
Yeah.
I don't like Draymond, but that's a
triple
nice
double.
That's a nice line.
Could have had a triple double nicely. Yeah.
That is a nice line. Yeah. So I don't know.
It goes back to that balance again we were saying earlier though. Draymond Green steps up when Curry's getting played double teamed and triple teamed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They've got balance, they've got more options to go to.
Exactly, yeah.
Very few teams in the league have that, and the teams that do have that are your contenders.
Yeah.
They are the people that will go the distance.
Yeah.
Because
that's what you need, yeah. It's mad to think as well though, like when Curry got hurt last couple of years, how poor the Warriors were. And obviously with Memphis doing what they just did to OKC, Shea obviously being on that team, it's similar.
Yeah.
In a sense, like Shea, they would never have lost by 73. I'm not saying it would have been a close game. They'd have never lost by 73 if Shea was on the court. And the Warriors were terrible when Steph was out, when Steph and Clay were out, I should say.
But you know what's interesting though is at the beginning of the season, no one expected this from the Warriors.
No.
And now, because it's happening consistently, everyone's now saying again that the Warriors are the team to beat.
Yeah.
No one.
I don't know.
No one was saying this at the beginning of the year.
I think us as a whole, as a podcast, like us Flagrant Fruit, we were quite high on the Warriors.
Oh yeah, I think we've always said
from
you can't
episode
write
1.
them
Like
off.
when we start, obviously we spoke NBA for years prior to starting the podcast. But even in the first early episodes, we were always talking about the Warriors.
Yeah, but
I didn't like the dynasty, the last dynasty run, because after KD joining, it's like, fuck this. This isn't NBA basketball. This is bullshit. This is throw a checkbook at someone and let's just build the best team.
Yeah.
But now it's back to this is what they've built, and that's when it's fun. So yeah, big up the Warriors. The same with the Suns. Like they built that shit. They signed. Obviously, they haven't signed DeAndre Ayton, which is another reason why he's. I think you saying he's getting better. I think he's had a mismatch year this year. Some games he's been good, some games he's been off. He's missed a few games as well. But he didn't get given his extension when he should have been, and I think he's maybe playing for that.
He'll
maybe
get it.
showing up. Yeah, I do think he will get it. Whether it'll be the Suns that give it to him, I don't know.
Well,
they gave it to
tell.
Mikal Bridges instead. And it's paid off for them because Mikal Bridges is
on the defensive end, yeah.
on the defensive end. He's a fucking animal.
The hustler, yeah.
And probably the best 3-and-D guy in the league, like wing.
Yeah, great two-way wing player, like a real good two-way wing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you could probably have an argument defensively on a Kawhi Leonard level for Mikal Bridges.
But he suits the system of Phoenix. I think if you took Mikal Bridges out and put him into another team, I don't think he's having as much productivity as he is. He just suits. He knows his role and he's playing what he knows he's good at. If you put him into another team to be a franchise player, like you try and take him out and put him into Orlando, you try and take him out and put him into sort of like the Rockets, he's going missing.
Yeah, of course he is, because he's one, he's not got that offensive side down, and two, I think this is the Chris Paul effect.
Yeah.
This is the Chris Paul effect. This is the value of Chris Paul. And that's why I found it weird that, I mean, maybe they did, I don't know, but nobody really pushed for Chris Paul this year.
No.
Or maybe he was just straight up, no, I'm signing with the Suns again. As soon as they offer me that contract, it's done. Nobody else talks to me.
I think he enjoys playing for the Suns.
Yeah, I do. And
at this point in his career, that's what's important, right?
Who do you feel is more valuable, Devin Booker or Chris Paul? This was DOD last. I don't know if he was here.
More valuable
to the Suns.
To the
Not
Suns.
like I'm talking right here, right now. Who is more valuable, Chris Paul or Devin Booker?
Devin Booker.
Yeah.
Borderline. Yeah. Borderline.
Close.
Devin Booker. Very close. I think. And I think you'll see this as well, actually, in the coming weeks, depending on how long Devin Booker is out for. He's a massive piece for that team, scoring-wise, and, just making things happen. I like Chris Paul, and I think he does really well to run a team, and he leads from like a true point guard should, right? He leads the team like a point guard should. But I think for what Devin Booker brings to the team in terms of scoring ability, he's a good defender, okay, great. But he can create his own shot.
Yeah.
Which is something that is very, very rare these days in the NBA.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like you're talking like Steph Curry and KD.
Yeah.
Are like the two elite guys, and then you're talking Devin Booker.
Because he's got so much of an offensive arsenal that you can't guard him 9 times out of 10. And when he gets hot,
not one-on-one.
Yeah, and people forget he's the sort of guy that can drop 70 points a game and bits and pieces like this out of nowhere. He goes under the radar a lot. But I think to the Suns, at the moment, he's probably the most valuable. And then, it's very closely, Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And then it goes from thereafter. But
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. At first, I was Chris Paul purely because of their records. So they didn't have a winning record until Chris Paul turned up. But I think after watching them against the Warriors, I think it is quite clear that Devin Booker's that guy.
Yeah, Devin Booker is that guy. And I think what they were missing, because who was their point guard prior to Chris Paul? This is my point, right? They didn't have a true identified point guard.
Eric Bledsoe? Was it?
He was at Milwaukee. Yeah, it might have been. But again, not a point guard.
Pull up the tapes. We'll have a look at that one.
Tapes. But that's what I'm saying. He's
that'd be a flashback.
What they were missing was point guards that can lead the team and then take that away from Devin Booker and allow him to be that scorer on the team.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No longer does Devin Booker have to bring the ball up the court, and he now can play in the half court, work for his shots, get open, you know. And you've got Chris Paul at the moment who's then dictating everything else.
I think it's close. I think it would be interesting, an interesting perspective if you was to take. I feel like if you took Devin Booker out, they'd still be good. I feel like they'd probably be.
They would lack scoring.
Yeah, they'd lack scoring. I think they'd probably sit around 5 and 6 in the West right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you took Chris Paul out, they'd probably be in the same place.
That's what I mean, how close it is. Because although Devin Booker is your scoring elite scorer, he's going to get you obviously to close out games. He's going to get you, if you're in a scoring slump, just give the ball to Devin Booker. He'll get you a couple more. He'll get the rhythm back going in the team. But then that's very individual based. Yeah. Chris Paul makes the team better.
Exactly. Yeah.
He makes DeAndre better in the pick and roll.
And Chris Paul's an underrated scorer.
Oh, if you leave him, you can't leave him open.
You can't leave him open. No. Like he's. He could have been a score first point guard, I think. Like an elite score first point guard as well.
He started to when he was back in the Hornet days, wasn't he?
Do you think?
Yeah. When you saw him first come into the league, he was aggressive as hell.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch the times.
Yeah, he was aggressive. I used to.
That was a good. I used to love them teams. That pick and roll with Tyson Chandler and David West in that.
Yeah, because I used to have this conversation with one of my mates ages and ages ago. The whole Deron Williams and Chris Paul conversation, because they were very, very similar players.
I feel at the time Deron Williams was better.
Yeah, I loved Deron Williams' ball protection and just the way he drove to the basket.
Yeah,
but
he was vicious.
And
now he's in celebrity boxing matches.
But and Chris Paul still one of the leading point guards
exactly
in the NBA.
Exactly. But I think that's the difference between a point guard and a score first. A true point guard and a score first point guard. Yeah. Had Chris Paul been a score first point guard like Deron Williams, he'd be out of the league by now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But because he makes the team better and leads a team, he's now playing, was he 36, 37 years of age?
Yeah, 36. Yeah, 36 or 7, yeah.
Does nothing crazy, but just runs
same age as LeBron, isn't he?
Yeah, does nothing crazy, but just runs the team well. So, you know, they're both, it's hard to then make that decision because they're both as valuable. Yeah. But I think, as you say, if you take Devin Booker out of the team tomorrow, they're not going to score as many points. They're not going to be that offensive threat, and they probably will lose more games than with him, basically.
And obviously, the shining light was the bubble, where obviously this was pre the Chris Paul signing. They went undefeated, but still somehow didn't make the playoffs.
I know, yeah.
Which was mad. It's like, why the fuck invite us to the bubble? We got no chance. We went undefeated, still had no chance of making the playoffs. Fucking mad. Anyways, that will wrap us up.
That'll do it.
No episode next week. No. We're getting one done on the 19th, and then we're going to see if we can get a Christmas Day highlight reel, fucking Zoom call. Get some cameras running. Zoom call with some highlights of the games as they're happening. Just a little 20-minute episode to get out there. Yeah. So tune in the future. Peace out.
Peace out, guys.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.